This particular design has 3 tabs that you will custom fit to your 3-ring binder ring so that it fits perfectly. It's got a flap closure that you could easily add hook and loop tape or a snap to keep the contents secure inside of the pocket. And then it has a nice clear peekaboo window that is perfect for holding all your stationery or planning supplies. So if this looks like a fun project to you, stay tuned and we'll jump right in. Hi friends, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com. Today we are going to be fulfilling a special request from one of our subscribers for a step-by-step tutorial for the clear vinyl pockets that I make to fit inside of the 3-ring binder covers. I know in a lot of places the kids have gone back to school and maybe this could come in really handy. I personally still use 3-ring binders and I'm an avid planner, so this one is actually going to be for me. But it has a variety of uses. You could certainly thread this on a dowel and use it in your studio or near your desk to keep small contents organized. So before we get started, please do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It's 2 easy, free ways you can show me that you really appreciate the content that I create. So thanks for doing that. Shall we get started? All right, so we're going to begin with a 9.5 inch wide, 7 inch tall cut of 16 gauge clear vinyl. I like to work with the by Annie's vinyl. It's top quality and easy to sew with. You're welcome to substitute with a lighter weight vinyl, your own preferred brand of vinyl, as well as a colored vinyl. Have fun with this project and make it uniquely yours. The first thing we're going to do is frame out the short sides of this vinyl. So I've cut a 2.25 inch piece of fabric that is also 7 inches tall. And I'm going to position that right sides facing on that vinyl with those short edges aligned there. So the long edge of my fabric and the short edge of my vinyl. And using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to stitch right down that edge. I want to repeat that with a second like size piece of cotton fabric on the remaining short edge of the vinyl. Now both of the short edges of my vinyl are framed out with a like size cut of cotton fabric. Now I'm going to take a 2 inch wide piece of cotton fabric that is approximately 12 inches long, and I'm going to fold that in half long ways, wrong sides facing. Open that up, bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line, and fold that over again and press. This is basically creating a 4-ply strap. We're going to insert that top long edge of the vinyl with the cotton side panels in between those layers and create a nice little top binding for our clear vinyl pocket. Your fabric vinyl panel may be slightly longer. That's perfectly fine. Just center that top 12-inch trim on the pocket that you're working with. And then once you get that trim across the top of the pocket, stitch very close to that bottom edge of the trim to attach that to the pocket. And now I have a clear vinyl peekaboo window that is framed on 3 sides with cotton fabric. I want to add a panel across the base there so I can keep the vinyl out of my seams and make it a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to take a 2¼ inch wide by 12-inch long piece of cotton fabric and center that on that panel again. Your peekaboo panel may be slightly wider than the 12 inches. That's no problem. You just want to center that on there with the right side facing down, just like we did those sides, and you're going to stitch right across there to attach that to the base of this pocket panel. I'm just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And now I have a pocket that is framed around all 4 sides. I'm going to go ahead and carefully press my cotton fabric so that it lays nice and flat. And now I'm going to top stitch right around the edge of the vinyl, about a 1/4 inch along that cotton fabric, just to frame out that vinyl and reinforce this peekaboo window. Okay, so that's what my vinyl pocket looks like on the back, and then this is the front. This 4-ply of fabric across the top there really offers that pocket a lot of stability. The next thing I want to do is bring over a 12-inch wide by 9-inch tall cut of cotton fabric that is backed with a layer of lightweight fusible fleece. So I want to position this peekaboo panel 1½ inches down from the top of the 12-inch by 9-inch panel. There will be some overhang across the base here. That is fine. We can trim that off in the end. Now I'm going to go ahead and top stitch around that pocket using a 1/4 inch seam allowance to attach it to that 12-inch panel. And then you can go ahead and true up that excess fabric from the peekaboo pocket. And now I have a nice 12 by 9 panel with a framed vinyl pocket attached, and this top here is open. The next step is to craft the little ties, which will allow us to slip this inside of a 3-ring binder. So these ties measure 4 by 2 inches, and they are folded just like the 4-ply strap in half long ways, wrong sides facing. Open that up, bring the outer edges inward to meet on that center press line, and then fold that over again and press. Just run 1 row of stitching down that open edge, and you should have 3 of these for your 3-ring binder. I have pre-crafted the remaining two. So I'm going to set those aside for a moment and work on the flap closure. This piece of material measures 10 by 10 and it is pressed in half to create a 5 by 10 inch panel, which is backed with a 5 by 10 inch piece of fusible fleece. I have my folded edge here. I'm going to fold this in half here so that I can angle the corners of that folded edge. This will give some shape and interest to that flap closure. And I didn't take off very much, just a slight angle there. And then I'm going to stitch down that side, across the angle, across the folded edge, up the side there. And I'm going to leave this top portion with the raw edge open to turn. I'm just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And once you have stitched all the way around those lower edges, go ahead and turn that right side out. Poke out those corners and give this a nice press. Once your flap is pressed, then you can top stitch all the way around the finished edges using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, now I have a nicely finished flap closure. Going to set that aside for a moment. Bring back over my 12 by 9 inch pocket panel here. I have the opening of that pocket towards the top. I want to take a like size 12 by 9 inch cut of cotton fabric. No interfacing is necessary. And I want to position that right sides facing on top of this. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance to stitch the sides and across the base. I'm going to leave the top open to turn. Okay, I have made it all the way around 3 sides there. My top is open. I want to go ahead and turn this pocket right side out. So poke out your corners very gently and then give this a quick press from the back. Don't hover too long and accidentally damage your vinyl. Then you're going to take that top open edge and you're going to turn that in a 1/2 inch and press that well. And this is where we are going to be inserting the raw edges of our flap. Those should align nicely with the clear peekaboo window. And you can put that in there approximately a 1/2 inch. The big thing is you just want to make sure that you have that flap nice and even. And then temporarily, I'm just going to place 2 clips on each side of that flap to hold it even. My pocket here is on the front. I'm going to turn this over to the back, and that is where I can go ahead and install some straight pins here to hold that flap securely. It's okay to remove those clips now. And you will need to bring over your 3-ring binder at this point because you need to know where to position these tabs so that they fit your binder. So I have my straight pins holding the flap in place. So I'm just going to fold that flap towards the front and then bring my pocket up so that it is centered here on the binder, and I am able to determine the positioning for my little tabs. So I'm going to take the tabs and fold those in half so the raw edges meet. And then I am going to insert those behind the flap in between the exterior fabric there. And I'm going to go ahead and pin those in place. So double check that your tabs are aligned with your rings inside the binder that you'll be using. And then you can go ahead and extend that flap up And you want to make sure that all of your tabs are the same height. So adjust that if necessary. So we are going to be stitching right along this top edge here and reinforcing the tabs and then closing up that top edge so that the flap and the tabs are all encased inside of this pocket here. So that's why I had you position your pins across the back, because it would be very difficult to stitch along the front here. You wouldn't know what's happening with your tabs. So once you're happy with the placement and your flap is in fact open, you're going to position this up on your machine deck using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You will proceed down that flap, and as you approach each tab, back stitch over the top of that to reinforce. And then once you have securely attached the flap and the tabs, you can fold your flap down, turn this over to the back side, and hit that with a hot steam iron to crease that flap in the down position. And that steam press should be enough to hold this flap in the down position, especially when it is installed in the binder and the weight of the content, say your paper or your notebooks, will be continually reinforcing that press. If that is not sufficient, you have the option of incorporating a snap closure. You could do one on each end or one right in the center. Those are very easy to install, especially if you use the prong snap closures. Alternately, when you are constructing this, if you prefer hook and loop tape closure, you would just install the loop portion of that on your vinyl before you attach it to the body panel, and then you could install the hook portion after the fact when the project is complete. So then you just slip those little tabs that we created right over your binder rings. Add any notebooks or paper that you want, and you have a really pretty binder pocket. Well, that was fun, and I'm really excited to have another one of these handy peekaboo pockets for my binders. School started for me, and Isabel also went back to school, so we are fully immersed in the fall hustle. I hope to continue to be able to bring you one new tutorial each week, as well as host the Sew Togethers on Thursday evenings over at Studio 365. If this is the first you're hearing about Studio 365, follow the links down in the notes. I'd love to have you join one of our live Sew Togethers. It's a lot of fun. We work on new projects each week, and it's a great way to meet makers all over the world. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I thank you for spending this time with me together in the sewing room. Until we meet again, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. I'll see you in the next video.